Can you improve your English without studying? Well, the answer is yes, but how? Well, that's what we're going to talk about in this video. I've been teaching English for over 10 years, and so I've seen what works and what doesn't. We're going to talk about, really, how to switch your brain to an English brain that will allow you to learn English even if you're not studying. If you have any questions as we go, leave those in the comments. If you enjoy the video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And now let's get into it. What if you hate studying? You don't like to study. Well, I think that's okay. But does that mean you can't make any progress? You can't really improve your English? No, it doesn't mean that. If it meant that, then I wouldn't be talking about this. So, yes, studying helps. Learning vocabulary helps. Studying grammar helps. It's all very important. Doing exercises and working on it, it's all good. You should. But even if you don't, you can make progress if you find ways to turn your brain into an English brain. I have a whole course called Building Your English Brain. You have to build your English brain. And I'm not going to get into a lot of detail about how to do that, but I am going to just give you some, basic ideas about how you can start thinking about it, how you can start switching into English mode. Think of your brain as a setting, like a phone with settings. Can you toggle on English mode instead of just watching a movie once a week or something? Can you completely switch over? Yes, there are ways to do it. So let's talk about that. The first would be to watch English movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, everything that you consume, everything that you get, you receive. It doesn't mean you have to do it all the time, but dedicate time. Maybe every Thursday, Friday, Saturday are English days. Everything you watch is in English. Every podcast you listen to is in English. Every TV show is in English, right? Every YouTube video you find is in English. You're going to naturally pick up phrases, learn phrases. You're going to start to get a feeling for pronunciation. Your listening is going to improve. Now, it might be more gradual than if you were to practice it daily and really focus on it and study, but you're still going to make progress. Progress. You can also try to start thinking in English, talking to yourself. I do this. When I'm listening to an audiobook, one of the things that I do to improve retention is I will ask myself questions throughout. I will say, is he saying that? I think what he's talking about is, my understanding of this point is, right? This is called mental dialoguing. Basically, if you hear a new phrase in a movie, try to think about that phrase in English. And in your head say, this phrase is usually used when someone is stressed and is trying to express their frustration. Maybe I could say, and then come up with a little example. Just think that thought as you're watching this movie and you hear a new phrase, and that's going to help it stick. And if it comes up again later or you hear it in a different place, it's going to be more likely that you will remember it. So you're not studying there. You're not sitting down to practice, sitting down to study, but you are engaging. And that's the difference between just sitting there and watching and actually turning your brain on, letting what you see and what you hear make something happen in your head, right? To dialogue is actually a really powerful thing. Now, listening to music is not bad, just getting your mind into the headspace of listening to music. It's really tough to hear specific words, but it can be good if you really like listening to music to kind of learn the lyrics and practice that. It can be a good way to work on specific muscle memory things. It's kind of like tongue twisters. So it can be useful, especially for listening and pronunciation skills, to sing along to music and improve your listening skills to be able to catch those lyrics in songs. Now, I think video games are actually a great way to improve your English because it is applied. That means that you're often using something that is learned. So one game that I have recommended people play is something like Skyrim. You're going to have a lot of dialogue, and the characters are talking. You may have subtitles. You have to then take what they say to you and do something with that information. Fallout. There's a lot of reading in Fallout. So there are games where you have to actually understand what is being said by NPC characters in order to accomplish a mission or in order to complete a quest or whatever. So you have to use the language. Because you're using it, it's like having immersion. It's like living in a native English-speaking country. One of the reasons that people improve their language skills when they live in a native English-speaking country is that they're not just passively hearing things and learning things. You have to learn this word so that you can then use it to buy vegetables, right? And so you get the same thing with video games. It has to be the right type of video game. Playing a little puzzle game that has no language isn't going to do anything. But playing a more in-depth game that has a lot of language, that requires you to do things with the language, is great. And sometimes playing a game with maybe a shooter game where you team up with random people, or maybe an MMORPG or something like that, online gameplay where you're teaming up with random people to communicate to get stuff done, is another way to practice. And you can potentially make friends doing that as well. This is a simple thing, but switch your phone to English. Why not? Again, it's reminding your brain, oh yeah, English. Oh yeah, English. It's like having a mode. And if you change everything in your life to English, again, you're going to start getting into that place where you start thinking about things in English. You start having original thoughts in English. But it's important to create the right context, the right environment for yourself. Of course, you should read in English. This is great because you can choose things that you're interested in, whether that's a novel or nonfiction or articles online. Whatever it is, hopefully you enjoy the topic. Hopefully you like reading this because you want to know more about it, or you're interested in the subject, or you want to find out what's going on in the news, whatever it is. So you're using the language as a tool to get something, enjoyment, entertainment, news, for example, rather than learning the language for the language itself. So this is not studying, right? This is forcing yourself to get the information that you want using a different path. Normally you get that same information through the path of your language. Well, why not change paths and try to get that same information through English? It's just one more thing that you can do that, again, isn't studying, that is going to force you to kind of immerse yourself. This is kind of a crazy one, but can be something called what we could call a bit of a forcing function. If you just try to apply for jobs, you might start getting interviews, and that's going to put you in some pressure, right? So you have to prepare for those interviews. You have to answer those questions that they ask you clearly. You have to complete the application process. You have to have a cover letter. You have to write a good cover letter. You have to have a resume. You have to be able to answer questions on the spot. So even if you don't get it, that process of putting yourself through job interviews and even applying for jobs is very, very powerful, because it's going to put pressure on you, and it's the good kind of pressure. It's the kind of pressure that you want. It's also important to know people, right? You don't want to feel alone. I'm just working on English all the time by myself. Alone is so isolating. Okay, well, there are communities out there, right? You can practice speaking English with others in a book club. You can join a Reddit community don't even have to participate, just to see what's going on, right? Or you can add comments to things. Find communities. There are English learning communities out there. There are platforms that allow you to find, groups to talk about things. There's a lot of stuff out there. You have to do the work to find those. But if you find those communities, then you're going to have a big advantage because you're going to have others around you doing the same thing, which can motivate you, right? Can push you. And also, again, I keep saying this, but give you that environment, right? What about pushing yourself to do something? This gets a little close to studying, or trying to stay away from studying specifically, but I actually know someone who started doing this on my suggestion and has been getting a lot of benefit out of it. So he calls his friend regularly. They do a video call and they record it and they actually put it up online. Now, just recording it, that would be good enough, just to be under pressure of having a conversation, recording it. And these are both, two non-native English speakers. But this sort of thing is just a way to say, again, putting myself into English mode. We're just going to practice. I may not be perfect. I may make mistakes. Fine. But it's better to just get used to speaking and communicate with someone than to do nothing, right? And so, do you have a friend, someone you know who's also working on their English? Have a conversation once a week. If you can find a native English speaker to do this with, better, but that's going to be a big challenge. So if you have someone get on a call with them once or twice a week and talk. Better yet, record it. Put yourself under some pressure. Watch the recordings back. Look at yourself. It's uncomfortable, but see, what can I do to be better next time? How can I communicate clearly? What things am I doing that could be, maybe I'm more concise? How can I change my pronunciation? You'll start to notice things, and you'll start to give yourself feedback. Get even crazier, post those as like your own little podcast on YouTube or somewhere. And that's going to then give you some more pressure to, I don't want to look silly in front of people, so I'd better improve even more. That's another thing to force you to work on specific skills, seek feedback, and improve your overall English skills. And so far, we're not sitting down, studying anything. We're just doing things. And these things that we're doing are forcing us to switch into English mode, build our English brain, improve, learn, right? Develop new skills and confidence, all without sitting down and studying anything. Another way that you could put English into practice would be, hey, here's a recipe in English. It's all in English. I don't understand any of these things. Okay, well, I'll have to kind of look them up as I'm trying to do something. So there's a common theme here. We're trying to use language immediately. We're not saying, let me learn 10,000 words and then I'll start doing stuff with the language. We're flipping it around. It's the opposite. You should start doing things with the language first, and forcing yourself to do those things with the language gives you so many new things to learn. Oh, crap, I don't know this word. I better look it up so that I can do this thing. I'm trying to play this video game. I don't understand what they're saying, and so I have to turn on the subtitles. Now I can read it and understand. I need to improve my listening. Next time I play the game, I'm listening very carefully. Maybe I slowly start to improve. All we're doing here, one of the big things that we're doing is we're trying to use the language right away. Right away. We're trying to jump into the swimming pool at first rather than trying to get ready first. It's a huge mistake to try to get ready first and then do stuff. Better, do stuff, fail, improve a little, do stuff, fail, improve a little, do stuff, get a little better, get a little better, get a little better. And if it feels scary or uncomfortable, that's you. That's your fault. You have to push past that. Really, you have to push past that. I recommended this before, but write a diary. You're forcing yourself to use the language. Writing a diary or keeping a journal is very useful in general. as a way to sort of keep track of how you are doing and what you've been thinking about. Hold yourself accountable for things, right? But doing that also forces you to, again, use the language. So I would urge you, if you are the type of person who hates studying, but you want to improve your English, switch your brain into English mode. Build your English brain by immersing yourself in the language, using it on a daily basis. Use it constantly. Use it to do things that you need to do and that you want to do. And all of these things are going to kind of work together to put you in this new headspace, we can call it. A new headspace where the English language is not a thing I have to study, but is a thing that I use to get things done and is part of my environment that I just kind of start to learn slowly, gradually. And eventually, you will start to notice big changes. You'll start to notice you're improving in a lot of areas without studying, okay? This is just a starting point. There's a lot to this. I just wanted to give you some ideas for how you could switch into English mode. I would challenge you to do this for a week. So try this for a week and let me know how it goes. And seriously, I want to know. Let me know. Let me know in the comments. If you have any questions, also let me know. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to hit the like button and, of course, subscribe, and also get a free course in the links in the description.